everybody. Welcome to Listeners Beware, a podcast about all things Goosebumps. My name is Gary.
And I'm Ashley.
And today we are talking about book number 19.
Deep Trouble.
How deep is this trouble, Ashley?
Well, I don't know. You tell me, Gary, with our wonderful synopsis. It was a weird, awkward segue, but you saw where I was going there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Give us that synopsis, Gary.
You got it. Don't go in the water. Billy and his sister Sheena are visiting their uncle Dr. Deep on a tiny Caribbean island. It's the perfect place to go exploring underwater, and Billy's ready for an adventure. There's only one rule to remember: stay away from the coral reefs. Still, the reefs are so beautiful, so peaceful. Billy can't resist, but he's not alone in the water. Something's lurking deep below the surface, something dark and scaly, something half human and half fish.
Wonderful.
It's one of the worst descriptions I think we've had so far.
So we've got Deep Trouble. It is the 19th book, right?
Yes.
And it was released May 1994. So love the theme. They're on their summer break, and most kids in May would be going on their summer break around this time. So good release to get people nice and creeped out before they go into summer vacation, maybe to beaches, maybe to oceans, maybe to the coral reefs.
Mm. I know I sure went to the coral reefs a lot as a kid.
I mean, I did. No. I did not.
I didn't either.
This was another shorty. So this book was only 117 pages. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
That's all I'll have to say.
I'll echo that.
Echo. Kind of like whales when they sing in the water. It echoes.
That's right. I'm surprised with all the bumblebee facts 2 books ago, we didn't get a bunch of whale facts in this one.
Whale songs, how far do they echo?
Oh, I don't know. Are you Googling it?
Yeah, I always ask the Google.
Ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves. Oh my gosh, now that's a throwback. I miss Jeeves.
He was the best butler.
He really was. I mean, he was the only butler I was ever going to have in life. So I can't find it in the Google, but I'm sure that, they have lots of facts. Although I did see whale songs consist of distinct sequences of groans, moans, roars, sighs, and high-pitched squeals. So this sounds like a toddler that may last up to 10 minutes or longer.
Whoa.
So they really get going.
They do. Get it, whales.
You get it. Get that song, little toddler whale. So... So they are quite vocal. Mm-hmm. We are so digressing from this book. So
there's reasons for that.
We have the most obvious lazy name that you can give characters when it comes to the ocean. Of course, they have to have the last name of Deep.
My God.
So we've got the Deep family, and Billy and Sheena are visiting their uncle, who is a marine biologist of some sort. And I love, and I can't believe I used the word love in connection with this book, but I do love that they start off with action and excitement. He's in his imagination doing what kids do, and he's swimming and imagining that he's out, defeating all sorts of crazy underwater sea monsters. And oh no, he can't breathe. There's a hole. Someone put a hole in his oxygen tank, and he's having a good old time. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I like that. That to me in this book was the truest, in a lot of our books actually, the truest, I believe, experience that we've been given of what kids that age do.
Right. Absolutely. I know I did it. My imagination ran wild, especially when I was on vacation. Like, they were new adventures for me to have. Otherwise, I'm just making adventures up in my grandma's backyard. So, like being at the ocean all of a sudden, and also my love for Baywatch in the 90s. I had.
What were you imagining?
No. It was purely innocent. But most of the time. But no.
No, at least you're honest.
I just loved like that. God, this isn't the Baywatch podcast. I'm not going to get into why I love that show, but it gave me ideas for adventures and things because it was very much an adventure show. And So like when I was at the beach, I was recreating moments from episodes I'd seen and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't know. I got throwbacks to that reading this.
That's really cute. And he has quite the imagination. Like the character we see is really quickly drawn in a way that we can understand who this kid is. We were that kid once upon a time. And it's fun. I did like his character. I will say that. He was a likable character, which considering some of the books we've been reading recently, that's rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Our heroes have been not likable or not interesting. And
Yeah.
I'm glad we got that at least one more time.
Yeah, and we really don't see an aspect of bullying in this book with our main characters of the children,
That's true.
which it's a nice, breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm. We came up for air on this one.
We came up for air. He may not have, but we did. So we were given a different perspective on different issues that kids can come across. I feel like this season was really a lot on bullying and peer pressure. And in this book, we're given a different kind of crisis that kids can go through, or I don't know if I want to call it crisis, but just conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Conflict that can be encountered and decisions that they have to go through, that they have to process, decision-making skills. There we go. Words. I have them, I swear.
You did it.
I did it. I'm a learned girl. So
I love the term learned.
I'm a learned. It just reminds me of Step Brothers when he's like, this is a house of learned doctors. You and your mother are hillbillies. I love that movie. So, yes, I am a learned doctor. It's all about who you know, apparently. So
I've been told.
So I've been told. We also are introduced to another adult character who is a graduate student named Alexander Dubrow. He works for their uncle. Sounds like, he does all the other tasks while their uncle focuses on the fish. I mean, he does seem to manage a lab, but he's also their cook. And apparently he's a really bad cook.
Yeah, he likes spice, which with that name, I'm guessing he's Cajun. Alexander Dubrow.
Dubrow. I never thought of that, but there you go. Alexander Dubrow.
Making some spicy PBJs.
Dubrowski. So
Cajun Polish?
Maybe, who knows?
I don't judge.
We like to mix it up here. And, there is a hint of a sea monster that Billy encounters right away. And because he just gave us a glimpse into his deep imagination, Billy Deep in his deep imagination, we're not quite sure if the sea monster is a figment of this continued imagination or if that was a real encounter that he experienced.
Right. Yeah. This part was fun. I was riding high at this point. What, 5 pages in?
That's pretty much where it stayed. In those first 5 pages.
Yeah. But the beginning was exciting and exhilarating, and there was also a series of like sports books that I read. I know, me, sport, come on. But there was a series
you
of
don't say.
action-packed like sports books, like where like kids trapped in an avalanche, or stuff like that, like extreme sport. I wish I could remember what they're called. And I kind of got vibes from that with the scuba diving and that action-packed intro.
To be quite honest, I do feel like this entire book is more of an action kids book than it is a Goosebumps book.
Agreed. There
was absolutely almost nothing in here that was Goosebumps. It was 99.5% action, and like not action like Fast and the Furious, but action like the Bobbsey twins or something. I don't know.
Right.
Like, we're on an adventure. Goonies never say die.
Yeah. Well, knowing that RL used to write for other franchises, like I almost wonder if this was just a holdover from something else that he'd written in the past.
He got busy and was just like, here.
Yeah.
We're going to throw in a sea monster at the beginning and at the end, but he's never actually going to see the sea monster. It's just going to be a little hint,
Right.
a little wisp of it. And now, bada boom, monster, Goosebumps.
Yeah, just change the name from Indiana Jones to Billy Deep and we got a story.
We got a story.
Indiana Jones and the Mermaids tier. That was the original.
Oh, I could see that. So, speaking of which, Billy's eavesdropping as kids his age do, and he overhears that the zoo that I guess his uncle kind of sometimes works for offers him a lot of money. And this is the 90s. So this really is a lot of money. They offer him $1 million to trap and find a mermaid that local lore has been indicating there is a mermaid nearby.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
$1 million. What zoo has $1 million?
Right.
To just kick around.
Aren't most of them nonprofit anyways? Like, I don't know.
And aren't most of them like conservatories of some sort? Like we're protecting the animals, like when the pandas got taken and dispersed to the zoos of the world to protect them. And here we are. They're like, we need you to trap this mermaid so that we can show it off in our zoo. We'll give you $1 million trillion.
Right. Let's add a couple more zeros.
I mean, $1 million in the 90s. That's might as well be $1 trillion.
It really might as well be.
You could do that. Ask the Google. What's that? Factoring in inflation and all that jazz. Like, what would that be?
It would be $2,119,939.27. Don't forget the change.
So only $1 trillion.
Only $1 trillion.
Only $1 trillion. Okay. So it doubles.
Mm-hmm.
And so the zoo offers $1 million, catch the mermaid. And I'm just really in a state of how believable is this? Because the zoo is offering $1 million to capture a mermaid based only on folklore. It's not like, hey, one of our people saw it, or we've seen some videos come out, or whatever, right? It's literally just, hey, so word on the street is there's a mermaid, and a few people have described like a blonde little girl swimming in the ocean. So we believe it. Here's, $1 million, catch her.
Yeah. It's crazy. We've been reading all the hot mermaid blogs and we're hearing she's local.
She's local, baby. Let's get her. Get her in that lagoon. So, I'm just shocked because, of course, their uncle is running low on funds. They think they're probably going to have their project shut down. So he's in a state where normally he would be fish friendly. And instead he's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do it. Yeah. He's hard up for cash. And for the sake of the greater fish population, he's willing to trap this mermaid.
Yes. And then Billy gets a little too excited and falls into the room like a dumbass.
Number one rule is eavesdropping. You don't get caught.
Right.
You don't fall through the door.
And then there's like this tense scene where it almost feels like the zoo people are going to kill this child for overhearing the conversation. And Dr. D's like, no, it's fine. He's a good kid. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Alex vouches for him. He lives to his word. He won't tell. You don't have to cut his head off.
Right. Also, guys, it's a theoretical mermaid. Chill the fuck out.
Exactly. They're like, well, now he knows. Now he knows there's possibly a mermaid. It's like, dude, the whole folk lore is out there. The whole town knows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is why towns disappear, because they know about mermaids. And the zoo takes them out.
Yeah. This is the most dangerous zoo.
This is the most ridiculous book.
Mm-hmm. The Zooluminati?
Zilluminati. This is the Zilluminati. They're out for the mermaid, making villages disappear left and right.
Yep.
So, of course, Billy decides to do what any kid would do. And he's like, I'm going to find this mermaid on my own.
I would have.
I mean, I don't know. You're leaving a boat in the middle of the ocean at 6:30 in the morning when no one else is awake, or so you think, to just take off into the great ocean.
Yeah, maybe
by yourself. like the sharks. The
Right.
uncle has warned him about the sharks. He's seen the sharks, and he's just like, you know what, guys, it's a really good idea for me to get off of this boat. The sun's not up, nobody's awake. Off I go.
Right.
These
In,
life choices,
into the wild blue yonder.
never to be seen again.
Goodbye, Billy.
Bye, Billy. And of course, what happens? He gets attacked by a shark,
Yeah.
as one would expect in the real world when you take off into an ocean near a reef where there is shark and fish life aplenty. And he's climbing on this fire coral because, of course, at the beginning, we are introduced to the idea that the coral burns your skin if you touch it, which some coral does that. So kudos to whoever researched this. Dangerous coral, it's burning if you come in contact with it, and it's painful. So he has no choice but to try and climb onto that because it's either the coral or the shark.
Yep. Yeah.
What would you do?
Coral, I guess. as miserable as that sounds.
You'd be burning for a while, but
Yeah.
you're alive, I guess.
Well, I mean, would you go shark?
Would you go shark? No. I'd be on that coral so fast.
Yeah. We'd be burning together at least.
Burning. It burns. They make medication for that. But the interesting thing, though, is that he is still not able to get securely on the coral. Like, if it is not intervened, it is implied that the shark was going to actually still be successful in eating him.
Yeah.
But we have a magical intervention. It's a pretty little mermaid.
And what does she do? She flaps her fins and, I don't know, somehow scares the shark away.
I think she just whips the shit out of him with her tail.
That makes sense.
And it eventually just takes off because it does not want to be whipped by this mermaid tail. She must have a really strong tail.
I'm guessing so.
So she beats him up. Billy comes face to face with the mermaid, and he's like, oh my gosh, she saved me. And he seems pretty grateful in that moment and is, in my opinion, I think he's ready to just let her go.
Mm-hmm.
But Dr. D pops up out of nowhere and nets them both.
Yeah, he does. Before we get too far, I will say that I really also liked this sequence until the mermaid shows up. Like the tension that he's building with the shark attack, I think is really good. And spoilers, these are the only 2 times I had fun in this book. But I really liked the way he or whoever told that part of the story.
Or whoever, because jury's still out on who's writing these. Yeah, and I'm with you. The tension on the shark attack was super solid. I just still am not sure that it is Goosebumps.
Agreed. Yeah. And also, I mean, it sounded like there was a point where the shark bit his leg, so I'm still trying to figure out how he did not have worse injuries, you know?
It was merely a flesh wound.
The shark just caught his leg in his gums. I don't know.
I mean, to me, it sounds like he grazed him, but I don't know because I feel like sharks don't graze you.
Yeah. I don't know.
Especially when you're an open target like that.
Right. And this shark wanted this kid for sure.
The shark was on a mission.
It
just circled in closer and closer and closer, as sharks do.
As they do.
As they do. And then he gets netted up by his uncle, and off they go, he and the mermaid. And I will say, for this not feeling like a Goosebumps book to me, I do like the empathy that they are able to show through Billy. He has empathy for the mermaid. He's aware of her sadness. He's in tune with the fact that she is feeling scared and alone and all these things, which is that's pretty awesome that they're able to really highlight that and touch on that, especially when your character is like a 12-year-old boy.
I agree. And there's actually kind of a nice emotional push and pull here too, because not only is he aware of her, he's aware of his uncle and how much this money would change his life. And kind of you're right in the middle with him on both of these points. I mean, me personally, I'd let the mermaid go, but like, good counterbalance.
And I mean, realistically, he does try to let the mermaid go.
True.
As much as he understands his uncle's conundrum and the kind of tough situation that his uncle's in, he ultimately wins out on the, caring side of himself and tries to go and release the mermaid. I mean, it doesn't happen, but I can't remember. Is it Alex or Dr. D who stops him? One of them stops him. They catch him and they're like, "What are you doing?" Because he's trying to unlock the top to get her out. And I just can't remember which one it was. It was one of them. I
Yeah.
think it might have been his uncle, but I could be wrong.
I think it was too.
But it's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, he is doing his best to try to help her. I mean, he even figures out what she wants, like how to feed her,
Yeah.
and ends up feeding her when she gets super excited. Oh, that's right, because the Mr. Dubrow, he makes some kind of gross food for them, and she gets all super excited seeing it, so he gives it to her, and she chows down.
Yeah.
But ultimately, she's not a pet,
No.
and Billy realizes that, and I think in this instance, this book is really highlighting how do you do the right thing and how do you decide to do the right thing, especially when someone you care about is doing the wrong thing.
Right.
Peer pressure from a family aspect. Oh my gosh.
There it is. There it is.
There it is. But not really bullying, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at worst, it's just a little bit of sibling fuck-aroundery. What do I call it?
Sibling fuck-aroundery. A little bit of sibling banter and bickering.
Yeah, bickering.
Yeah. But nothing to the point of excess like we've seen previously, where it's just like, wow, these two kids are monsters.
Mm-hmm.
We see some double crossing, which I feel is true to action books, which is why I really do feel this is an action adventure book and not a Goosebumps horror story kind of book. The double crossing really speaks to what you would see in adventure books. And who ends up being the double crosser?
Mr. Alexander Dubose.
Dubose. I think it's Dubrow.
Dubrow. Whoops.
Mr. Alexander Dubrow. Here, Mr. Dubrowski. I don't know why I want to call him that.
Mr. Dubrowski. That's my father's name.
Mr. Dubrowski. He is the double crosser. He works with the pirates because apparently there's some pirates. I mean, they're not really pirates. They're criminals. But in my head, I envision pirates.
As you should. They're vague, unexplained bad guys.
They're coming to take this mermaid, and Alex, they figure out, let them onto the ship. Well, he tipped them off to make lots of money and helps them get off of the ship. And to the point where he actually assaults his boss. He knocks out Dr. D so that these guys can get away with the mermaid. Because
he reveals that this evil syndicate that he's stealing this mermaid for is willing to pay him $2 million, aka
I thought it was
$4
million.
10. Oh, was it 10?
I think it was 10 because I'm like, whoa, that jumped really high.
That is extreme. Okay, wow. Readers, correct us.
Was it 2 or was it 10? It was $1 trillion.
It was $1 trillion in 1990s.
Whoa, that's like a quadrillion.
That is more, right?
I think so. I don't know, but he gets offered a lot more. Yeah. And I'm still wondering where all these people are coming up with this money in the 90s and for a mermaid. If you can afford that much, I'm pretty sure you can get much more sophisticated equipment to get more than one mermaid.
Oh my, that is so true. You can get all the mermaids for that.
I'm just going to go out on a limb there. I'm pretty sure you could probably just like create your own, clone it. I don't know. Like make a mermaid with that amount of money.
Make your own mermaid.
Make your mermaid for $1 million, trillion, quadrillion. But, this is where, again, it feels very action adventure because the guys don't just knock out Dr. D and, like, tie up the kids. They throw all of them into the mermaid tank and then proceed to take the mermaid tank and throw it into the water. So they're going to drown all of these people. They're going to kill innocent kids.
Yeah.
And Dr. D.
Yeah. Wow.
And in that moment, all I could think of was, Indy. How are they going to get out of this?
I don't know.
It really does seem that they're going to die. And the interesting part is it still doesn't feel like horror, although terrifying and horrifying, it does not feel like horror. But the writer, once again, does a really good job of creating an intense scene that feels hopeless.
Yeah.
The water is slowly building up. They're, completely in despair. I think Sheena is crying and she's pretty much given up. Yeah. And it really is well written.
Yeah.
Just doesn't feel like Goosebumps.
I completely agree. Yeah. Yeah. This story is interesting and fun, but it's just not what we want it to be.
It's just not the Goosebumps.
These are not the bumps you're looking for.
These are not the bumps you're looking for. This is an action book. It is an action Goonies, Indiana Jones adventure book. And albeit those are fun and those are great, that is not a horror book.
Do you know what I kept flashing back to while reading this?
Flash
Curse of the Mummy's Tomb.
Jaws? Curse of the Mummy's Tomb.
I wish I were flashing back to Jaws. But yeah, like that's the last time he kind of gave us this. That was like a spy espionage adventure book. This is, let's go find a mermaid action adventure book.
And, ultimately they're able to get out because the other mermaids come. There's a whole swarm of mermaids that come to free them. And I'm surprised they freed them considering they're the ones that caught their friend.
Right. That's true. It's all their fault.
Literally their fault that their little aerial mermaid is trapped and being carried off. And here they are freeing them.
Yeah. Kind of crazy.
Because it's not like they needed them.
No. It's just a convenient plot device, really.
It really is. The mermaids did not need the Deep family because even when the Deep family get on a boat and go follow these criminals to get the other mermaid and free her, I mean, the mermaids are the ones doing the hard work. They're rocking the boat literally and knocking these people off of the boat and helping free the mermaids. So really, the Deep family was not needed.
No, not really. Yeah, I mean, I could maybe understand if they saw that Billy was innocent. I would love it, honestly, if they just pulled him out of the glass tank and then put the lid back on.
Killed Dr. D.
Bye, Dr. D.
What about Sheena? Did she get out?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Dr. Dead.
Dr. Dead. Oh, my God. Realistically, I don't believe there's anything in that scene when they go to rescue the other mermaid that they did specifically to help. So ultimately, mermaids saved the day, even though these people did nothing to warrant that.
Right.
And they go and rescue the little mermaid. And we don't ever really find out what happens to Alex.
No, we don't.
And he tries to set them on fire. I'm pretty sure he orders them to throw the torch onto the little dinghy to kill the Deep family. And I'm like, whoa, Alexander. Because at first he just seems like a scummy guy who's taking a bribe and let these people come on and, take this mermaid they captured. But now it's like, no, you're just like a full-blown killer.
Yeah,
you're
straight up murderer.
Not even someone who took money. You're like, throw the fire at them. What?
They're inconveniencing me mildly. Let's kill them.
I mean, for $10 million.
I mean, I don't know what I would do, but...
You would not set kids on fire.
I would not set kids on fire. Maybe. He seemed like...
Dr. Dead.
Dr. Dead would be dead.
He would be dead.
He'd be double dead.
They leave. the other mermaids freed, and the little mermaid family take off. And then Dr. D and his family take off, and all is well. And Billy is still in a conundrum because he's not sure what Dr. D is going to tell the marine zoo people when they come back to ask about the mermaid. And I kind of wonder, we know ultimately Dr. D does the right thing and says, hey, we weren't able to find anything. You sent me on a wild goose chase and don't know what to tell you. And I am curious, had that gone in a different direction, had Dr. D said this is what had happened, we did find one, it got away, what would Billy have done?
I don't know.
Interesting, right?
It is, yeah.
What would he have done?
What would he have the power to do? I mean, I guess never speak to his uncle again. Take that, Dr. Deep.
Warn the mermaids?
Yeah, that's what I would assume. Because clearly they're bonded now.
I mean, to an extent they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wonder, like, what could he have done? To your point, he doesn't have power to do much. Because at that point, if they have $1 million to throw at something, they can just send someone else to go look for the mermaid or more reinforcement or more resources. But I'm curious, had that not gone that way, what could he have even done?
Yeah, I feel like not much. He was kind of, as a kid, this is where the 12-year-old of it all becomes a significant issue.
I think, honestly, that's where the horror would have been for me, is realizing that he's only 12. He is powerless to do anything.
Yeah.
And now these adults are going to come in and destroy something magical.
Yeah, something beautiful, as adults tend to do.
Typically.
Yeah, that would have been the true horror. And just ending with him watching the mermaids get caught, like knowing there's nothing he can do. That's
just seeing them wave and smile at him, and he's like, "Oh no,
no,
they're coming for you."
They're gonna be, that
and
would
it just got dark.
That would be real dark.
It's super dark. The only option would have been for him to kill the zoo people before they left the boat and take his uncle out. That would have been the only option. And then that would have been Goosebumps. That would have been Stephen King level.
Hell yeah. Yeah. He shoves all of them into the mermaid thing and then pushes them overboard. And as the sun
rises... Let the
rises,
mermaid handle them.
Yeah. As the sun rises, Billy is standing on his new boat.
I am the king. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now.
It's my favorite joke.
But honestly, I mean, that would have been super dark. That would have made this a horror.
Right.
If it's like Uncle D says, mermaids are real, she got away, and actually there's a whole lot more of them. And then, Sheena and Billy lock the door and say, well, you know what we have to do now? Poof. Finish what Alexander started.
That torch is still conveniently burning over there.
As torches do.
As they do. It's just the Olympics. They last a while.
I mean, typically. Yeah. And of course, Billy decides that he wants to sneak out to the coral, even though he's really not supposed to, and say goodbye to the mermaid one last time. And of course, what happens, he's looking for the mermaid and he is attacked by the sea monster.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And he's like, people will believe me now. And it's like, dude, you're dead.
Yeah.
If a tree falls in the woods. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Billy dead.
Billy did. And, there is a sequel to this. So the question is it following Billy, or did the sea monster get him?
Right. I don't know. I mean, we have to wait a really long time to find out, but we will find out eventually.
I don't want adventure books. I want scary books.
I know. I feel like Deep Trouble 2 is one of the last, if not the very last book.
Oh, is it?
So, yeah, it's a long ways from now.
Whoops.
Whoops.
It's gonna be a while.
Yep. Settle in, boys and girls.
And honestly, the cover of the book reminds me of Jaws. The tagline reminds me of Jaws. Just when you thought it was safe. Like, come on, this is just so Jaws.
It
Don't go
is.
into the water.
Yep. I like the reprint. Swimming lessons won't help you now.
Or
That's pretty good.
will it?
Uh-huh. Tune in to find out.
I don't know if whoever wrote this, was like on a binge kick of movies, saw Jaws, and they're like, yeah, I mean, Jaws is a horror, so if I do a fish story, it's a horror.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite work that way, because in this instance, it really was not.
In this instance, it really was not great.
Because I would understand if, they were playing on the fear of sharks and the fear of thalassophobia, and it's an intense phobia or fear of large or deep water. So a lot of people are afraid of the ocean, sea, and large lakes, and they get really massive anxiety about it. So in this case, maybe they thought they'd be playing on that phobia, but realistically, we didn't get enough water adventure in order to really be touching on that fear. Like, yes, we got the one shark scene,
right?
But then we had a fantasy creature of the mermaid come in and save him, which almost kind of took away from that intensity.
Yeah.
It pulled it into a fantasy realm versus a horror realm, because we do have mermaids. I think if they had not thrown mermaids into the mix, this probably could have been more of a horror book if it really was about sharks, or if he really wanted to bite Jaws a little bit more, it could have been a killer shark or a predatory shark that is just a little too smart, a little too advanced for what you would expect from a typical shark coming after the Deep family. But because it's like he threw mermaids in, it's like, dude, he just pulled us out of horror and into fantasy land.
Right. Now it's about a kid chasing tail.
Give him a few more years.
Yeah, this book's conceptually it's fine, I guess, but I missed the horror. Like, as you're saying, it's the moments where it was good were really good, but then everything else just felt like, I don't know, wrong series. Who dis?
Yeah, and I mean, realistically, what you just said, the moments where it was good, like, most of this book is good.
Yeah.
It's not a poorly written book. There are really well-written scenes, and we get a really developed character who is complex. He's got a really big imagination. He's got a big heart.
Mm-hmm.
He cares about this mermaid, and he's put in these kind of heroes, conflict, journey, adventures that you would get in an adventure book.
Yeah.
The problem is that Goosebumps is not an adventure series.
Right. I know. So I'm going to repeat what I said during the Bumblebee book, whatever the hell it was called. Why I'm Afraid of Bees. Great book, but just not Goosebumps. Like, if I had read this and it were some other franchise or not even tied to a franchise, I would have enjoyed it. But the fact that it has that Goosebumps branding on it, it just doesn't feel right.
And that's really what it is. It's like going to a wine tasting and someone hands you, a cocktail and says, here's your wine. Like, right. It could be the best cocktail ever, but you're there for the wine tasting. And so, and that could be anything, a dessert tasting, and someone hands you an amazing savory dish. Like, you're like, wow, that's really good, but where's my dessert?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great analogy.
So, good effort, I guess. Like, solid book, just wrong book series.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. Is there any way that you would have fixed the book? Do you think the book needs fixing, or is it just in the wrong series?
It's in the wrong series, but if I were to make it a Goosebumps book, I would probably scare the mermaid up a bit more, make her look more like a creature versus an innocent little girl with long blonde hair and a tail. Mm-hmm. Like, really make it scary. she could still be nice, but just make her scary.
Yeah.
And maybe play up the sea monster more or the shark attack more. I guess I would just want to identify what is this book.
Right.
Because if the scary is fear of the ocean, fear of sharks, then that would need to be played up more. If the scary is humans doing awful things, because this feels more like maybe a warning
Mm-hmm.
by activists.
A little bit.
Leave the coral reef alone. Leave the marine species alone. Leave
Right.
the oceans alone. Don't tread into this water. Like, just find a clear message and stick with it, but also identify what is our monster.
Right.
Is our monster humans?
Mm-hmm.
Is our monster a literal sea monster? Like, what is it?
Right.
Because one shark attack is not cutting it.
Mm-mm. No matter how good it was. Which feels weird to say about a shark attack.
Now, if I was going to go really dark and really horror,
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, right. Thank you. If I were going to go really dark and really horror, which would be not appropriate for a kid's book, would be like what I said earlier, which is the adults decide they're going to go hunt all the mermaids, and the kids decide time to take them all out.
Yeah. I'm fine with any of those options.
I'm just saying, I could go dark in that way, but even then, that's ending on horror. That's still not a horror book. So,
Yeah. Agreed.
what about you? How would you change it? How would you fix it?
My initial thought was to, scary up the mermaid a bit too. Because she just feels like such a sweet, wholesome part of this book. And maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe this is the mermaid lobbyist trying to get us on board. But it just, I don't know. I don't think the book is broken. I don't think it's right for Goosebumps. That's kind of where I have to leave it.
Just pull it out of the series.
Mm-hmm. But I like where your head's at in terms of making it scarier.
I just don't know how much it would, without completely just, because that's the conundrum here is it is a well-written book.
Mm-hmm.
So changing the elements would change the things that we actually like and appreciate about it.
Yeah.
So I'd rather leave the book as is, because I think it is a really fun adventure book and well-written in that aspect, and just say, pull it out of the series.
Yeah. Yeah. Call it Dr. Deep Sea Dumbness. I don't know.
Deep sea dumbness. What?
I don't know. I lost steam after Dr. Deep, clearly.
I think he did too. Yeah, so I mean, I guess I just wouldn't want to change the book, and I would just ultimately, I mean, if I had to force it, then sure we could make it dark, but ultimately I think it's a good book as it is as a standalone. It just should be its own book as a standalone.
I agree. And we'll see whenever we get to book 58, that's Deep Trouble too. Whenever we get all the way down there, we'll see if maybe it was just a good like duology, and we don't need to tie it into Goosebumps at all.
Or maybe they got the feedback about the first book and they're going to change it in a way we don't know yet in the second one.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I would love to know what kids of the 90s thought of this one, because I did not read this one in the 90s. I
don't think I did either.
Missed me. So wow, that is such a stupid way to say that.
Missed you, now it has to kiss you. So if we approached it in a thematic way, which we know I annoyingly do sometimes.
No.
Something you said about her being this like childlike innocence, I kind of wonder if the mermaid represents Sheena and Billy's childhood and their innocence and their purity and their imagination. And then you have these adults coming in and just trying to completely destroy it. And the fact that Billy stood his ground and protected it, maybe there's something there.
Yeah, maybe so. Hadn't really thought about it like that, but
And the fact that Dr. D eventually comes on board with that
Mm-hmm.
and is like, okay, so that that doesn't get harmed, we won't let people know that exists.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids don't
It's like
lie.
Santa Claus.
Oh,
Santa is real.
Santa
But
mermaid.
if the world gets a hold of it, they'll just destroy it.
It's true. It's true.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you believe mermaids exist?
No.
Okay. That was fast.
I don't.
Okay.
But, well, okay, let's walk that back. Do I believe mermaids as have been presented in pop culture exist? No, I don't think Ariel's out there. Top human, bottom fish. Uh, just from biology alone.
Right.
Like to be able to live under sea, you kind of have to have some gills more than in your tail. So
Yeah.
I don't think she looks like, look at me, this beautiful, voluptuous, like magical siren come hither. Yeah, I think she needs some gills and some other things going on to be able to live under the ocean.
Right. Girls got gills.
Girls got gills. So I don't know. What about you?
I don't know. I mean, I like to entertain the idea, but I don't think that there's ever been any sort of proof. I think if there was a mermaid or a mer person, merman, if there were a mer person, they would be. I think the human element would definitely be gone. They might look like different than a fish. They may have arms, and I don't know, but like I don't think they would look like people mixed with
Yeah.
fish. So
Because, I mean, you see some of the fish out there that do have qualities that resemble some facial features that people have, like the mouths and
mhm.
eyes are like, whoa, that almost is kind of human like. But in terms of actually just looking like a full half human, I don't really think that's a thing.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Now, are there potentially humanoidish fish? Possibly.
Humanoidish fish.
Humanoidish fish. That's kind of a tongue twister, but possibly, maybe that
Mhm.
could be fun, but
Yeah,
it could also equally be terrifying.
both. Yeah,
Humanoidish fish.
humanoidish
So
fish.
I don't know if I want to meet a humanoidish fish. I also
No,
don't know if I'd ever want to meet a mermaid if they existed, because you don't know, just because they look like people doesn't mean they're nice. Because
true.
people aren't nice. So
That I mean, yeah, yeah. The purest character in this book was the mermaid. Perhaps that's how it is in real life. I don't know, but
there's a lot about the ocean we don't know and we haven't discovered. So who knows what's in there?
I've seen the Meg.
You see coming up from the ocean cloud. Oh my
An
gosh.
earthquake underwater, and oh
Here
my
they
god,
come to
it's a.
eat you. This is why I don't go in the ocean, friends.
That's fair. That's fair.
I have thalassophobia. Also, why I don't like deep lakes.
Mm, that's
You
fair.
find me on a boat anytime, but swimming in the ocean, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I was chased out of a lake. I was swimming with some like my nephews and nieces, and I looked up and I just saw a swarm of this coming across the water, and there were like 5 water moccasins that were closing in on us, and I'm like, I'm grabbing all these kids and trying to haul ass out of the lake, and I'm like, not swimming where I can't see anymore.
Don't love it.
Nope.
I've seen one water moccasin, and that was enough for me.
Yeah. And unlike the snakes in R.L. Stine's books, they actually have fangs.
You know what? Like real life, like fiction aside, I've already had a thing with not just, going willy nilly into lakes, but nowadays you hear about all of these like flesh eating bacteria and like brain eating bacteria
Right.
and stuff that come in through your nose while swimming in a lake if the temperature outside is just a little too warm. And I'm like, dude, that's when you want to go in the lake, is when it's a little too warm. Like,
Yep.
what in the world? You go in a lake, have some summer fun, come out with the flesh eating bacteria. Now that's horror.
That is
Write that
horror.
in a Goosebumps.
Yeah, that is absolutely horror. Terrifying.
And people wonder why I don't want to go swimming in oceans or lakes or rivers.
Thank you for joining our review of Swimming in Thick Water.
And if you didn't have thalassophobia, you do now. Flesh brain eating bacteria.
Nope.
And then what about those amoebas that go in through your swim trunks and can get in your parts?
Urethra.
Yeah, what about those? Like, just say, there's a lot of scary stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to say another word. A lot of scary stuff that lives in the oceans and the lakes and the rivers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good.
Yeah, real good. Real good.
Yeah. And this is why I'm not too afraid of ghosts, because we have real stuff to be afraid of.
It's true.
Like, if a ghost wants to open a door in my house, cool, do you. Just, like, please don't mess with the AC, because I don't want my electric bill to be through the roof.
Yeah.
But, like, you do you. Open a cabinet, close a cabinet. I don't care. But flesh-eating bacteria? Exactly. So I get that. People ask, "Why aren't you afraid of like things that can't hurt me?" Because they could hurt me.
Right.
But we have enough out in the world.
Oh yeah. Ultimately, everything is trying to kill us when you really like boil it down.
But mostly, like, it's more aggressive when you get to the ocean. You have jellyfish, you have sharks, you have amoebas, you have like there's a whole list of things that want to kill you.
Yeah, skateboarders.
Just walking in there, skateboarders. Guess it depends where you're skateboarding.
No, I see a lot of them at the beach.
Oh my God. You mean surfers?
Them too. I don't want to talk about it.
I don't think you can skateboard on sand. But surfers, oh boy. And now we're getting into Point Break. Phenomenal movie, by the way.
Yes.
Original Point Break. Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze. Yeah. That is the first time I ever heard the name Bodhi.
Oh, yeah?
And I was just like, that's not a real name. And now I actually know someone named Bodhi.
There you go.
I'm like, oh, I guess it is a real name.
In the words of Mufasa, we are all connected.
But they were born in California, so that tracks.
That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're listening to this, Bodhi, you're awesome. But, Point Break, surfing. This is why surfing looks really fun. But let's revisit thalassophobia, and I can't get past that, so I won't ever surf.
Yes, completely fine. I understand that.
Paddleboarding, surfing, no, I'm good. Because that would require me going like out into the ocean, and no, I'm good.
Right. No, I understand. I completely understand.
And salt water burns my eyes.
Yeah, me too.
I have contacts, and that especially hurts. So I just don't do it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't feel great even without contacts, for what that's worth. So
feels like acid in your eyes when you have contacts.
And not one of my favorite things.
Exactly. So I just don't, you know what, guys? Just stay out of the ocean. Stay out of the water. Protect the coral reefs and mermaids.
This is your PSA.
Yeah. This is all just one big ploy for nature.
Right.
And not my fear at all.
Protect the mermaids and stay out of the water. Like, it's fine.
Stay out of the water, bro. Like, how hard is that?
Stop being selfish, surfers.
Actually, the coral reef is in trouble, the Great Barrier Reef. So stay away from that.
Yep. Don't touch the lava stuff.
Although, when I went to Hawaii, we did some snorkeling inside of a crater in the ocean. And so it was kind of isolated. You didn't really have to worry about sharks because there was like 30 boats, right? Like circling the crater. Yeah. And it was really shallow inside of the crater. So we snorkeled, and the fish in there were just absolutely beautiful. I could see the bottom, so I wasn't afraid.
Right.
I think had it been dark, I would have been like, nope. But I would have channeled my Lego Batman. Nope. So No, but this was like shallow enough where you still saw like coral, you saw all of these beautiful fish, but it wasn't too terrifying. I would do that again.
Sure. Yeah, I've done that with the clear waters of like the Bahamas and such. That's when I'll get in the ocean.
We bougie.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would you rank this? Would you rank this? I feel like I can't. I can't rank this because I don't feel like it belongs.
Yeah, that's a really good call because I feel like saying this is one of the worst is unfair to the book. So yeah, it's not a factor.
It's not being factored because it is not eligible.
No.
It does not fit the criteria, so we do not count it, but it is a good book.
It is a good book.
I would recommend reading it. Just don't read it under the pretense of it is a Goosebumps spooky book. This is just an adventure book. Have fun with it.
Right. No bumps were goosed in the making of this book.
No bumps were goosed. Oh, we got to start using that. So, speaking of bumps and being goosed, what is our next book that we're reading?
Our next book is The Scarecrow Walks at Midnight, book number 20, and also the last book of this season.
Oh, no.
And guess what? We have an episode for this one, so we're finally getting back to the double feature ? And that is worth noting. A lot of people will be like, but Gary, there's an episode for Deep Trouble. No, there's not. It's actually for Deep Trouble 2. They just named it Deep Trouble, which is confusing, so...
Yeah, so take that, naysayers.
Yeah.
And Scarecrow Walks at Midnight is also 122 pages, so we're getting a little bit more towards our usual page count. It's still a little small, but, it works. And I love the tagline for this one, which is, it's a field of screams instead of a field of dreams. Whoever wrote that had fun with that. So I'm looking forward to reading it. I love scarecrows. I love cornfields. It reminds me of Children of the Corn. So I'm really excited to see whoever wrote this, KRL. I'm excited to see if it pays any tribute to that kind of stuff or if it's its own little thing. So either way, I'm excited.
I have no idea what this book's about, and I am pumped to find out. So
I'm here for it. Love the cover, so I'm excited to see what it's about.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone for tuning in to Listeners Beware. Are you looking for more spooky podcast content? Check out 3 Haunted Podcast, where Ashley and friends talk about all the things that go bump in the night.
And if you're looking for something a little nostalgic, check me out at the Wax Nostalgic Network, www.waxnostalgicnetwork.com. And also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Listeners Beware Podcast.
Until next time.
Yeah, kind of like I'm going to echo what I said on the... Not you, Echo.
Well, Echo?
My.
Echo. Did your echo respond?
It did. I didn't get that one. Can you say it again?
Say it again. Whoa, she's talking.
This bitch.
This bitch. Let's be on the ocean in the summer and find a mermaid. And oh no, these pirates came aboard to steal our mermaid for $1 million trillion, and they literally threw him overboard like a pirate.
That's my favorite genre, the one you just said.
Oh, well, thank you.